Hello everyone. This is my greetings to everybody, to all the viewers to this session. We would be discussing about social casework today. Like we all are familiar in social work profession, we have some 6 methods. We identify one of the available methods and we tend to practice in various settings. So you see, we have contents of discussion for today's session. I would be first introducing you to social casework as a method of social work, and we will be coming across one of the most important definitions. Then we'll be going up to understanding the philosophical assumptions of social casework, and then we'll go up to understanding the objectives of social casework. Then we'll have some very important suggestive readings of social casework. So social casework is the first method of social work. In social work, out of the 6 methods, we have divided the into 2 sections of the methods. The first 3 are called as the primary method of social work. The second 3, the last 3 or the other 3 methods are considered to be the auxiliary methods of this profession. So therefore, we must understand our today's topic of discussion is about the first method, that is called as the social casework. So in social casework, when we tend to practice this method, since we know it is a practicing method, so when we practice, we'll try to understand that this is a process. So when I call it a process, we will have some step-by-step process or systematically how we can go about applying this method in different fields to help different people with different kinds of problem. So for that, let us understand that social casework is a method which includes 2 parties in the process. In casework process, there will be 2 parties. One shall be called as the client, very important, and the other party in the process is called as the social worker or the professional worker or the worker. We synonymously at the same time call the professional or the social worker or the case worker, and the other side in the process will have the client. So it's a 2-way process. Through this method, we help one person at one time. Through this method means through this casework method, we tend to help one person at one time. So let us understand further how we'll help one person at one time through casework method. For that, we need to have the concept of the method. Therefore, we have to begin with understanding what is the definition of social casework as a method. Here in this slide, you will get to see Mary Richmond 1917 have very clearly put forward for all of us to read it and understand the definition of social casework back in 1917 itself. Here, Mary Richmond has mentioned about social casework and said that it is an art of doing different things for different people at the same time, so that it helps the individual himself or herself, the family, community and society at large. So Mary Richmond, through this definition, clearly points out that it is a method where we try to utilize the art of doing different things for different people. Who different people? The clients who would be approaching us professionals for help in different settings. So now, therefore, to help different people with different problems, we need to have different set of skill sets, different principles or the guidelines, different tools, skills, techniques, and must have very thorough understanding of practicing this method so that we can understand the person, the problem, the situation, and eventually we can help this person overcome the problem in different settings. So now you see, when we have to practice a profession, since casework is a professional method, since we have to practice this profession of social work, through casework method, then therefore it becomes very essential for us to understand some philosophical assumptions. These philosophical assumptions are considered to be near to truth while we are in practicing fields. Why? Because there were a lot of other scholars, practitioners already who must have already practiced in different settings and have helped different people in different situations, different problematic situations. So therefore, out of that, these scholars, these practitioners, these authors, they have given it to us in form of philosophical assumptions which is considered to be near to truth, that we are somehow going to face this kind of situations where we are going to talk about, say, humanism. Humanism is a very important concept or conceptual understanding in social work profession, where we consider the complete human factor. We consider the complete human being first, the human dignity, respect, equality, before we tend to look into the person and the person's problem. Then when we look into empiricism as another philosophical assumption, means when you're working with a person and their problem, you cannot simply or randomly declare that somebody is sick about something or sick of some situation in their life as part of the society. We have to have empirical evidence. Yeah, it has to be objective. We have to have some facts through which we will be producing those evidence that yes, this person is unwell, which may be unwell mentally, unwell physically, maybe undergoing treatment under some doctors. So there has to be some factual data, and also the factual data can also be the data which you collect when you're conducting the casework with that particular client. Next, when we go to the next philosophical assumption, we see it is called as pragmatism. So pragmatism is another important concept which says that we have to consider each person is important. Nobody is worthless. Everybody is worthier of at least something. So therefore, consider that everybody is capable of recovering from their problem, provided we professionals can enable them to understand what is their problem. Only then, when they realize what is their problem, they will be able to overcome from the problem that they are currently suffering from. Next, we have system theory, which means we have to cover the complete system. Which system? Human system. It may be a problem connected with our physical body, mental. So we have to cover the complete understanding of the human mind, human body, human need, and so on and so forth. As we go higher with lectures, in my further lectures, we will be discussing more on it. But for now, please understand that we have to consider the complete human being. Next, social justice as a philosophical assumption. Now, social work as a profession itself, it grew out of some important understanding, important concepts, which also includes justice, equality, independence, freedom, recognizing everybody's right to make their own decisions, correct? So we include social justice as one of those most important philosophical assumptions as well. Next, you see social casework objectives. Every profession is practiced with some definite objectives. Similarly, here, since social casework is a method of a profession, first method of social work profession, it has some definite objectives. Keeping this in mind, we professionals tend to make an approach in helping another human being with their problem. So, first objective, to identify and help the individual to solve their immediate problem. Since we know that we are all part of the larger society, we are first born to a very small group of family. Yeah, so we tend to first try to identify our first-hand problem, and we eventually try to help them function better so that they can understand their problem, they can have some scope of understanding, scope of solving, scope of having the idea that you can also meet the professional about about discussing on your problem, what can be the possible solutions. So basically I will call it as social casework profession or social casework as a method, it enables us to help the person function in a more better way. Okay. Now, these are some suggestive reading I have in this slide put forward for you some 3 important suggestive reading which I think are most essential. From your left, if you look into the first suggestive reading, you will see it is a social casework reading material which is developed by Professor Rangaswamy. Very clearly with simple language, you can be following those materials for you to understand about what is social casework, what is its objectives, its philosophical assumptions and methods, tools, skills, techniques and everything which covers within this method. So, I think it is an essential reading for you. Next suggestive reading from your left, the second one, Social Casework book by R.K. Upadhyay. So, this is suggested because these books are written in a simpler language for us beginners to read it and follow the language and understand the important terms and terminologies. The third one from your left, as you see the slide, is called a Social Casework, a problem solving process by Helen Harris Perlman. We often, when we teach social casework in the classrooms to the BSW, MSW students, we tend to suggest this book because it is a book which will introduce you to all the important concepts, understanding elements, steps in casework, tools, skills, techniques and all of it within this one book. So, Helen Harris Perlman in her book Social Casework, a problem solving process, have very beautifully shared lot of fieldwork experiences as well as other theoretical understanding for us to know how to practice social casework in different settings. When I tell you settings, it means different sectors, different fields where, for example, casework can be practiced in schools, in colleges, in hospitals, in rehabilitations, in other welfare organizations, wherever casework practice will be essential. So, these are the 3 important readings for today's lecture. Thank you very much.